If you're new here, thanks for stopping by. I'm Laurient, and today I'm going to be showing you how I'm prepping us for parenthood by stocking our freezer with 7 freezer meals that we can access very easily once baby comes and we have very limited time to worry about dinner. I don't know how it is in your house, but at the Toal household, we put a lot of focus into dinner time. So I meal plan for 2 weeks at a time, and then I grocery shop based on that meal plan. Now, my meal plan has to be very well thought out. It has to contain a lot of things that get us excited to eat dinner at home, because Mike and I are very easily persuaded to eat out or to order in. We come home, we're tired, we don't really feel like cooking, so if it's too difficult to make, we're like, we don't want to do it. And when I say we, I really mean me, because I do most of the cooking. But also, if something is just too generic or too basic, we'll be like, we don't really want that. We want something a little bit more or something different, or like, let's go out for sushi. So it has to be a really well thought out meal plan. Otherwise, we kind of just jump ship and have a fridge full of groceries that we don't end up eating the way we should or as timely as we should. So we're trying to be better about that. We're trying to eat out less. It's just going to be better for our health. It's better for our budget. And I also know that once baby comes, I'm not going to have time to grocery shop for an elaborate meal plan. I'm not going to be able to be out of the house that long without the baby. I'm probably not going to want to be out of the house that long without the baby. And I know I'm also not going to have time to run to the store very often. So I really wanted to make sure that we had things on hand that were delicious and easy for us to just take out of the freezer and defrost and just cook for dinner and be able to eat for a few nights in a row. So I made 7 meals that were easy to make, that are going to taste great, that freeze wonderfully and defrost even better. And I want to take you through the things that I made so that if you're preparing for a baby, or even if you're just preparing for a really busy season in your life and you know that you're going to be running the soccer practice, or you're going to be working really long late stretches for the next couple of weeks, like, these are things that you can implement in busy seasons within your life as well, just so that you can have delicious home cooked meals and not have to put all of that effort in. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through making a ground turkey Fiesta Chili, ground turkey stroganoff, which is just as delicious as a beef stroganoff, just a lot lighter, a ground turkey shepherd's pie, teriyaki chicken stir fry, slow cooker pot roast, slow cooker meatballs, and a baked ziti with turkey sausage. We have a lot of work to do, so let's get into it. I love a good pot roast, especially in the fall, and I love to make it in the slow cooker because it just makes it that much easier, and it frees up your stovetop and your oven to cook other freezer meals and have this going in the background. So you're gonna start by cutting up all of your veggies, your celery, your carrots, your onions. Obviously, those potatoes need to be washed, peeled, and quartered. If they're large potatoes, cut smaller than quarters because you want them to be kind of like bite-sized pieces. And it obviously really helps if you can recruit some extra hands. So I recruited Mike for his potato peeling abilities. Once you have all of your veggies and starches in the pot, you're gonna add in your meat. I'm using a 1.5 to 2 pound beef chuck roast, and I like to put it on top of the veggies because I feel like it keeps it elevated from the bottom, where it could kind of sit and overcook. Also, the juices kind of run down over the veggies, making them extra delicious. And we're gonna add the flavor. I'm using the Crock-Pot brand pot roast mix. You just mix it with water, I think 1 cup, whatever it says on the package. And then you're just gonna dump it on top of everything that's in your slow cooker pot. So I'm adding mushrooms because I forgot that before. But this is just gonna give it that good old pot roast flavor. And then I like to just finish it off with salt and pepper, just because I feel like I always need to add a little extra something. Now we're ready to set it and forget it. I'm adding this to my Instant Pot, but I'm using the slow cooker setting. I'm cooking it on slow for 6.5 hours. At 6.5 hours, the meat was done, so I took that out and set it aside. But the potatoes and veggies still needed more time, so I pressure cooked them for like another 13 minutes. But if you don't have a pressure cooker or an Instant Pot, you can just cook them on high in your crock pot for another hour or 2 and see if they're soft. And then just add everything to what you're gonna freeze it in, let it cool, wrap it, and freeze it. All right, let's make some turkey stroganoff. I'm gonna start by spraying the pan, adding in some onions, some garlic, mix it all up, let it cook a little bit, and then we're gonna add ground turkey. Now I'm adding 2 packages because I'm gonna cook this all together, and then I'm gonna split it in half, and half of this is gonna be for the turkey stroganoff, and half is gonna be for the next recipe, which is shepherd's pie. Now that we've separated the turkey mixture for both recipes, we're going to focus on the stroganoff. We're going to add the mini sliced portobello mushrooms. We're going to mix them in, cover them, and let them cook and get a little bit more soft. Now we're going to add in some beef gravy. That's going to give it great flavor. I use the largest jar of Heinz, and I use about 3/4 of the jar for this. Now I'm just taking half a cup of sour cream, which is going to make it nice and creamy. Add that in, and then we're just going to blend it all together. I'm going to add about 3 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar to this to give it some nice flavor. I would add a little bit of red wine if I had it, but I don't. Then I'm just going to add some other seasonings, salt, pepper, onion powder, and I'm going to set it in the container, let it cool off, and then freeze it. And when we're ready to eat this, I'll pull it out, defrost it, and the only thing I have to do is boil some egg noodles, and I have a perfect meal. Shepherd's pie has a mashed potato topping, so we're going to get the potatoes ready to make that. While those potatoes are going, we're going to get our turkey mixture going. I added peas and carrots to it in the background. I'm going to add what's left of that beef gravy, mix it up. I'm going to cover it and let it cook so that those veggies get nice and soft. Season with some salt, pepper, and onion powder. And then I'm just going to dump them in the tray that I'm going to freeze them in and set that aside while I work on the mashed potatoes. For the mashed potatoes, I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of butter or margarine, some almond milk, some sour cream, and some seasoning. I use salt, pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder. And then I'm just going to mix it up with the hand mixer. I didn't add the full half cup of milk because I do start to add it as I mix, like if I feel like I need a little bit more, because it's not an exact science, right? Like sometimes I need more, sometimes I need less. And then I like to add some cheddar cheese to it because I feel like it gives it nice flavor, and Mike really likes it. So I add in some cheddar cheese, get that all blended, and then I'm just going to pour it on top of my meat mixture and spread it out. It felt like I was icing a meat cake, which was super weird, but it smelled really great and it looked really good, and I kind of can't wait to eat it. Once you're done icing your meat cake, you're just gonna set it to the side, let it cool off, wrap it really well, and then freeze it. Fiesta Chili is a weeknight staple dinner in our house because it's so quick and easy to make. You're going to start by sauteing peppers, add in your meat. I'm using ground turkey, you can use ground chicken, ground beef, you can use diced chicken. It all works really, really well. You want to break it up as you go. I'm adding some Goya Sazon seasoning, and it just gives it a really nice flavor. Mix it up and cook that protein until it is totally done. Now I'm adding some adobo, and I think I also added some cumin. I'm gonna add 2 cans of black beans, drained or mostly drained, and you want those to get a little bit more soft. I'm gonna add in some steam in a bag corn because I don't feel like cooking corn, and I don't really like canned corn. And now you're gonna add in your salsa. So I'm pouring in probably about 2 cups of salsa. I added a little bit more later on. The salsa is kind of like your base. And then I like to add in some cheddar cheese to give it some more flavor, and also it kind of gives it a cool consistency. It kind of makes it like a little bit gooey and stringy, but it's really, really good. And then you're done. And when we're ready to eat this, I will defrost it and I will serve it over rice or cauliflower rice. So if you're somebody who cooks pretty regularly, you're probably very familiar with making meatballs. It's fairly easy. I like them, not so much to show you the recipe, but to show you that this is something that does cook very well and then freezes and defrosts even better. So I'm just seasoning. I use an egg, some breadcrumbs, and lots of different seasonings, onion powder, salt, garlic powder, garlic salt. Italian seasoning, all the things. And then I just kind of work it together. I add more breadcrumbs if needed, and then I start rolling everything into a ball and I set it aside. In the background, I have a pan on the stove heating up because I like to brown my meatballs before I put them in the slow cooker with all of the sauce and let them cook on low for the rest of the time. Before you put your meatballs in the pan to brown them, just make sure that the pan is very well sprayed with like non-stick spray. My pan had natural oils in it from when I cooked sausage earlier that day. And then I added more non-stick spray. You don't want the meatballs to break up. And you're just gonna cook them for a couple seconds on each side and then kind of just keep turning them until they're brown all over. And then you're gonna add them to your pot with all of your sauces, your seasonings. I like to doctor up jarred sauce. I don't make my own sauce from scratch. This is kind of how I do it. And I wish I had measurements for you, but anybody who cooks the same things fairly often knows that you kind of just don't know how much of anything you put in it. You just kind of just dump and go. So that's what I'm doing here with meatballs. And it's all in the pot. Make sure that they're all covered in the sauce. And then you're gonna put it in your slow cooker. I'm cooking these on low for 4 hours, and that was enough time for some delicious meatballs. Another fairly common recipe that most people know, but you're just gonna boil the water, get your noodles going. I like to add meat to ours, so this is Italian turkey sausage. And then I'm gonna take my pan and I'm going to add sauce to the bottom of it so the pasta doesn't stick. Added my pasta, kind of spread it out, and then I'm gonna layer some more sauce, coat them evenly, and then I'm gonna start going in with the turkey sausage, do a layer of that. And then I'm gonna follow it up with a layer of ricotta because ricotta is delicious. I never made Big Ziti with ricotta, and I didn't eat it like that growing up, but my mother-in-law always adds ricotta into hers, and not that mine is anything like hers, but my husband seems to really like it, so I add it in, and then I just do a layer of mozzarella, some more sauce, some more pasta, and then I just kind of finish it off by sprinkling what's left of the turkey sausage and mozzarella over top, and then we're pretty much done with all of the layering. So if chicken teriyaki is not already in your weeknight dinner repertoire, you need to add it because this is my go-to when I'm short on time. You're just gonna cook up some diced chicken with seasonings. I use salt, pepper, and onion powder, and then I add steam in a bag of veggies because ain't nobody got time for the fresh veggies. These taste just as good and they quicker. I use a mix of Asian vegetables, and I use 2 bags of broccoli, and then you're just gonna dump your favorite teriyaki sauce on top. We really like the ShopRite brand. It's really good actually, and it's more affordable than some of the other brands offered in the store. You just want to mix everything so that it's evenly coated and the sauce has some time to cook and thicken, and then you want to cool everything. And then I like to freeze it in a bag because this is a really good one that you can freeze laying down flat, and then you can stand it up once it's all frozen and it doesn't take up a lot of room. And then once you're ready to eat it, you just take the bag out, put it in your refrigerator, and defrost it. And I just like to serve this over rice, and you have a perfectly filling, delicious meal. So that's it. It's as simple as that. Now we have a freezer stocked with delicious home-cooked meals that we can access very easily when we're really busy. And that food will last us a really long time. There's only 2 of us here. So a tray of Big Ziti will last Mike and I probably 3 nights for dinner. Each of those meals will probably last us about 3 nights of dinner, except for maybe the chicken teriyaki. That might only be 2. But everything else is gonna last us a while. That'll be huge to not have to worry about dinner in those first first few weeks when I'm really trying to get a hang of motherhood and caring for a newborn. Obviously, you can probably tell I filmed the introduction to this video and this last part on separate days that I did the cooking. If I think back to when I did the actual cooking, I did it over 2 days, not full days. I did like a Saturday evening and then a Sunday morning, and I think I did like 3 or 4 meals on Saturday evening. I think it took about 3 hours, and then it only took me 2 hours on Sunday morning to kind of finish the other meals and finish everything up. And when you really think about it, 5 hours of cooking up front is gonna save me so much time later on, and I'm just so happy that I have gotten it done and out of the way. Don't have a big freezer, so if you're somebody who has a really small freezer, like I have a tiny freezer, and you're like, there's no way I could stock freezer meals, you absolutely can. Just get trays that aren't very deep, get the more shallow trays that are a little bit wider. That's tip 1. And then also think of things that you can make that you can freeze in Ziploc bags instead of putting tons of trays or Tupperwares. I only use like 2 Tupperwares. I put the turkey stroganoff in a Tupperware and I put the meatballs in a Tupperware. And then I have 3 of the shallow, long trays. And everything else I was able to put in a Ziploc, lay flat to freeze, and then once it was frozen, I was able to stand it up and slide it in really narrow areas in the freezer to make sure that everything fit, and it all fits just fine. I know this one is a little bit different, but I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up so we know that you liked it and that we can make more things like this in the future. Also, don't forget to leave us a comment down below. What are some of your favorite freezer meals to make, or what are some things that you did to prepare for a really busy season in your life, like a busy work season or a busy season with kids or adding a newborn to your family. And I will see you guys in our next video. Bye.